Good evening and welcome to Midnight Movie Club and my review of Apostle. So Apostle is the latest Netflix horror to drop onto the streaming site just in time for Halloween, although I think it falls more in the realm of supernatural mystery thriller, but it definitely has horror elements. It is truly a hybrid genre film. Apostle was both written and directed by Gareth Evans, the man behind The Raid, and stars Dan Stevens, Lucy Boynton, Michael Sheen and Mark Lewis-Jones. The film follows Thomas, a thought-to-be-dead drifter who travels to a remote island in search of his missing sister after she is kidnapped for ransom by a religious cult. So, off the bat, the cinematography in this film was brilliant. It definitely has to be one of the best looking Netflix films, if not the best looking Netflix film I've seen. Everything from the overhead drone shots of the landscape down to the brutal action sequences and the oblique angle shots is done near to perfection. To complement the great visuals, we also have a very well done off-putting score that had me wincing in certain scenes where it became overbearing and almost too much to handle, but this helped translate the state of the character's situation to us brilliantly, filling us with the same agitated pain that they were feeling. But where I thought the score shone best was the out-of-tune plucked strings that would accompany characters while they snuck around in this creepy cult island. The score did a good job of keeping you on your toes in all of those scenes. Apostle also does a great job of keeping us in the early 1900s with solid set and costume design. Too many films nowadays that are meant to take place in the past just don't look accurate to their time period, and you can tell that it was made in modern day, but Apostle managed to create a real good look and feel for its time period. That's where the dialogue also came into play, helping immerse us further. Characters talked the way they should have, and for the most part I thought the dialogue was decent. But now let's touch on acting and those delivering the dialogue, and I had to say, sadly Apostle does not have the best acting I've seen. Now if you know me, you know I love The Guest and I became a fan of Dan Stevens ever since that. But I was just not feeling him in this one. It's hard to pinpoint what it was, but I just felt that his character was not believable at all. He was almost comical in certain scenes that were not meant to be like that at all, and it swayed the tone a little. Stevens has these certain facial expressions, almost of disbelief and disappointment in his enemies when he fights them, and in something like The Guest it works perfectly, but here it just felt a little off to me. The standout performance here for me was Michael Sheen. I thought he really brought it as the cult's leader, and he sold the madness of this community well, all while still having a vulnerability to him. Mark Lewis-Jones also does a great job as Quinn. I absolutely hated this character with a passion, so I guess he done his job in that role. Even though in the third act I thought he became a little like a bad comic book villain rather than a creepy cult leader, with just the way he didn't kill certain people for no reason, but that's not on Jones, that's down to the way his character was written. That was definitely one of my biggest gripes with Apostle, the way some characters just weren't fleshed out enough in the first two acts, so their motivations and actions in the third act didn't feel in line with how they have been throughout the whole film. Dan Stevens' Thomas was adamant about something throughout the whole film, but in its finale he suddenly changes his mind and is in a totally different frame of mind out of nowhere, which just caught me off guard and I didn't quite understand it at all. Sadly, Apostle's plot is just too oddly confusing at times, with subplots that add no real drive to the main story. With the confusing plot and confusing characters, it does leave you scratching your head at times, which can take you out of what is happening. Opposed to when Apostle brings it back to basics, Thomas sneaking around, mapping out the island, looking for his sister, it's solid. Then its eye wanders to the other people in the community and starts concerning us more with their affairs rather than Thomas's mission. In certain places it chooses to follow characters with less interesting stories and leaves you frustrated, waiting for it to get back on track. I can see Evans wanted to flesh out the island community and build that world and society, but his script is at its best when it's charging straight forward at its main objective, and if it stuck with that, I believe Apostle would be great and not have these problems. But let's touch back on something Apostle does great, and that is the practical effects and gore. The creature effects here are absolutely outstanding, some of the best I have seen this year. The blood splattered fight sequences are spot on too, but I suppose that is to be expected by Evans by now. So no surprise in Apostle, they are the standout moments. There are some of those scenes where you feel the character's pain and you will be scrunching up your own face watching them go through some of the stuff that they do. And that is what the film does great. For the investment I gave Apostle, I did feel a little robbed by the end when the credits rolled, as I felt nothing was answered of what was being teased earlier on. I certainly don't want a film to spoon feed or hold my hand all the way through, but Apostle just has nothing to give you in the finale to reward what you give it in the early stages. In the end, Apostle is a solid watch. It does some things very well, while it under-delivers with others. If you have some free time and want a film with great visceral action sequences, a solid creepy score and culty weirdness, you will get it here, but at the price of average acting and a plot that gets lost in the mysterious island it's trying to create. So with all that said, I'm going to give Apostle a 2.5 out of 5 rating. It is a shame because a great movie does shine through in those moments when Apostle does what it does best, but those great pieces of the Apostle puzzle get lost under a lot of unnecessary parts that bury its hope of being a cult classic. Anyway, if you have seen Apostle, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and want more content from myself, just press the subscribe button to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.